Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! This took place almost 11 years ago, and this is a story of how the entitled aunt of mine got herself banned from my parents' and I's houses and arrested. The cast of the story: there is me, there is Zen, my boyfriend, now Happy, there is my aunt, my dad's sister, my dad, my mom, my grandma, my next door neighbor, cousin 1, she doesn't actually say anything but is a big part, and cousin 2 and 3 are mentioned but have no part as well. My boyfriend and I had gone to see some friends before joining my mother and my dad and my siblings for a family holiday. As we were away for 2 weeks, we asked my grandma to feed and walk our dog, Buddy, while we were away. Grandma loved Buddy and took it as an opportunity to get some extra exercise. The day before we left, we went to Grandma's to drop off our spare house keys, and as we were leaving, entitled aunt is coming in. Note: a few months previously, my grandma had gifted me some money that she had been putting away since my purse to me, as she saw that I was responsible enough now not to blow it on some stupid nonsense. It went towards buying a new car. Moving into my first house was my then boyfriend, and the rest in savings. Entitled aunt found out and lost it, even though grandma had been doing the same thing for all her grandkids. I just happened to be the oldest, so I got mine first. What are you doing here? Trying to con more money out of grandma? You're a disgrace. Just like your witch of a mother. I can't understand why no one else can see it. I tell her, get lost. Just because grandma won't give cousin money doesn't give you the right to be a witch. I don't see why no one can see who much of a self-centered stuck-up witch you are. Oh wait, they do. That's why you have no friends. Cousin's dad doesn't want anything to do with you, and no one in the family apart from grandma cares about you. Now calling to grandma, thanks again grandma, love you, see you in 2 weeks. Entitled aunt just stood there turning several shades of red while I walked to the car. Boyfriend was doubled over laughing so hard he was pretty much crying. I had to grab him by the arm and drag him to the car. Grandma calls me later saying that I shouldn't have said what I did, but didn't disagree with what I said. Grandma's general response to my entitled aunt by this point is, she's my daughter and I have to love her. We go on our holiday and have an amazing time. When boyfriend and I get home, we find Buddy missing, our dog. Luckily, a neighbor who knew we were away had found him and kept him safe until we could pick him up the next day. And half our stuff was missing: expensive TVs, DVD player and our whole DVD collection, Xbox 360, and games. Also my jewelry, clothes, shoes, outdoor barbecue, and so on. Our first thought was someone had broken in, robbed us, and let Buddy go. He was more likely to lick you to death than bite you. But there was no sign of a break-in and both doors were locked, so someone must have had a key. The only people to have keys were my boyfriend, me, my mother, my dad, and grandma. So I called Granny. I knew she had nothing to do with it and had a feeling the entitled aunt of mine was behind it. Hi grandma, I was just wondering when you came around last to feed and walk Buddy. Yesterday about lunchtime, we went on a walk to the park. I gave him canned food and left plenty of dry food and water. Why? Is something wrong? Well, we just got home and found Buddy missing and half our stuff gone, but the doors are locked. I'm about to call the cops. That witch! Your aunt was here yesterday afternoon, and then again last night. Your keys are in different spot than I left them. I'm so sorry, sweetie. I am more in shock of hearing grandma swear than what this entitled aunt of mine has done. Well, it's not your fault, grandma. I'm calling the police though. Go for it. Hopefully it will teach her a lesson. While I'm on the phone to the police, my next door neighbor comes over with Buddy. He talks to my boyfriend, who is understandably ready to kill the entitled aunt. He says, "Hi, I'm sorry but I found Buddy in our yard and I know you guys were away so we kept him. We didn't want him to end up in a pound. Thank you so much. That's one less thing to worry about. Did you happen to see anyone here yesterday except grandma?" No, sorry. We were out all day and Buddy was in our yard when we got home. I just figured Grandma accidentally left the gate open. Why? What's up? My boyfriend explains what happened, and the neighbor offers to check the footage from the security cameras. Luckily, one was able to catch our entitled aunt entering our house, and also her kid and a guy loading our stuff into two UTs and a station wagon. Luckily, one was able to catch our entitled aunt entering our house, along with her boy and a guy loading our stuff into two utes and a station wagon. The police come and take fingerprints, statements from us, and the security footage. Understandably, my mom and dad are furious as well and carefully look over everything and make sure nothing's missing. 2 days later, entitled aunt, cousin, and the guy are arrested and charged with break and enter and theft. I can't remember the exact charges. They all got bail and the entitled aunt calls me. As soon as I answer, she starts screaming at me. "You little witch! How dare you call the cops on us?" "How dare I call the cops on you? How dare you break into my house and steal thousands of dollars worth of stuff?" "We didn't break in. We had a key. Anyway, it's not stealing. We're family. I'm entitled to take whatever I want. You need to drop the charges and tell the cops it's all a misunderstanding right now. How dare you get your cousin put in handcuffs and locked in a cell? My prince is too good for that." Me, now even more angry. "You stole the keys from Grandma and took what isn't yours. If you return what you stole and apologize, we may consider dropping the charges." "Screw you, you stupid witch. We took what we felt were owed. Grandma gave you all that money when you clearly don't need it. My kids have nothing and deserve better than you. Drop the charges right now, you stupid witch. We're keeping everything. If you don't, you will regret it." Oh my god, you're stupid. It's not just my stuff but my boyfriend as well. How dare you let Buddy go? Luckily, we have him back. You're lucky the cops got you before my boyfriend did. I hope you all rot in jail. If you ever call us or set one foot back on our property, you will regret it. I hang up on her, and my boyfriend and I decide to call the police and ask for advice. We end up getting an interim AVO, apprehended violence order, to stop her from harassing us or coming back on our property. Entitled and then calls my mom and try and get my mom and dad to talk us into dropping the charges, but my dad ends up giving her a piece of his mind and tells her that she is not welcome at their house and they will call the cops if she does. So she tries Grandma next. Grandma tells her that she's ashamed of her and her kid, and we have every right to press charges, and if she doesn't return everything that was stolen, the money that was put aside for my cousin will be given to us to replace everything. Entitled aunt refuses, and Grandma does give us the money. When it all finally goes to court, our entitled aunt is sentenced to 3 months jail. She also had other theft and fraud charges pending, and 18 months parole. Cousin is given a community order as he was only 17 at the time. The guy, who we had not met before, is given a good behavior order as the entitled aunt has told him that my boyfriend was her ex and she was moving out of their house and wanted help getting her stuff out. He apparently didn't question her as she had keys and Buddy knew her. We ended up dropping the AVO as it was a separate matter from the criminal proceedings, and the entitled aunt kept getting the hearing delayed and boyfriend and I couldn't keep taking time off work. My entitled aunt ends up losing custody of 2 of my cousins who go to live with their dad. So when I was entry level a long time ago, my boss made me come in a day after I discovered my dog dead in my room from choking on something it grabbed and swallowed on my desk. There were obvious signs she panicked before she passed away. I tried to call in a sick day because I had a combo of grief and guilt, but my employer wasn't having it. I was only a few weeks into the job, so didn't have any sick days. Was technically on contract in my probationary phase, and I was fresh off of unemployment and needed this job. I came in visibly sad and tried to ask to go home one more time. The boss didn't care and told me to man up, it's just a dog. So I was like, screw it, and just let my feelings take over. I was openly crying and sobbing at my desk while working on my project and answering emails. This is one of those modern open floor plan offices / design studios with no walls and tiny partitions instead of cubicles, and everyone can see and hear me. I'm literally wiping tears off my face and desk as I work. This is also the early 2000s, where the term toxic masculinity wasn't coined, so seeing a grown man openly sopping at his desk like this really threw people off. When asked by co-workers and people passing by what happened, I told everyone what happened to my dog and that I didn't even have a chance to take care of her body, so she was lying in my bed, dead, wrapped in my blanket until I get home and figure out her cremation / burial stuff. When they asked why I was even at work, I very loudly stated that my manager didn't think it was an acceptable excuse to miss work. Needless to say, she looked like a monster, and I was told by her boss I'd have 2 days paid to mourn and take care of my dog, and I shouldn't have had to come in. So, to everyone who has kept up to the situation, my dad has been in rehab for a few months now, and he got out yesterday. Yesterday is also where the story takes place. My dad got out and I saw him driving down my street. I said hey, and we caught up. He asked if he could use my work phone since he got busted in rehab. I said yeah, and I went to go and back up and reset my phone so he could use it. While doing so, I hear a knock at my door. The cast of this story starts with me, entitled half-brother, entitled mother, and her boyfriend / abusive ex-stepdad. Knock knock. No thanks. The entitled kid enters anyways. Get out. I want the juice. Refers to the juice cup to the side of my bed. No, go away. I start to go towards him while sitting in my office chair, and I didn't realize it, but my headphones were attached to the chair, causing the entire computer to fall on the floor, and the timber glass side panel cracks. What part of get out or go away didn't you understand? I slammed the door in his face so hard that a piece of the frame breaks and there is a window in the frame. I'm gonna grab that juice, the entitled mother says. I tell her, no, you go away too. I'm getting the freaking juice. Here, take the freaking juice. I opened the door and threw it at the floor next to her. She picked it up and it was a big thing of juice, and she poured it all over my computer, monitors, keyboard, phone, bed and everything. I instantly wrapped it in a blanket and charged at her to get her out. At that point, we're in the hallway and the abusive boyfriend comes upstairs. Who you looking at? I'll beat you. I'd like to see you try, you jerk. Oh, you're about to get yourself beat. I then ran in my room and grabbed a knife from under my mattress and went back out there. What now? Touch me, I dare you. I'll stab you and it will be self-defense. He and the entitled mother ran downstairs as I make sure my phone is okay and see if I can make sure it all dries. I then piece together the glass and go back outside to my dad, who's a couple houses down, and tell him what happened. He says he wants to kill the abusive boyfriend, but he doesn't want to go back to jail since he just got out, which is understandable. My dad told me to go back in the house and get my shoes and a change of clothes since I had juice on me, and we will go to my grandma's house. When I went back, the door was locked, and I knocked on it. What do you want? The entitled mother says, my shoes and stuff. I answer her. I'll toss it out the window and you can get it. Just let me in. You pulled out a knife. You just stood there and watched your son get threatened and you expect me to take it? He didn't threaten you. You were being disrespectful. She tries to close the window. I keep my arm in it so she can close it. No, you're not getting the last word. You watched them. I know what he said. I was right there. Clearly you weren't listening. Bye. You're not getting your stuff back. She slams the window and locks it. After that, I noticed the abusive stepdad bike and realized I still had the knife. I sliced the tire and ran to my dad and told him. He was angry that he was there because he was not supposed to be there, and if it weren't for the fact that my siblings were there, I would have told the landlord. I went to my grandma, my mom's mom, and told her, and she flipped on her daughter. I went back later that night because I had to make sure my electronics weren't broken, and she let me in. But not before scolding me about how I do not respect her. And in my head, I was thinking, boy, I can't wait until Thursday when I move in with my aunt and uncle. I went in, and upon inspection, the only thing that seemed broken was a computer, and I'm gonna have her pay for it. If she chooses not to, I have her debit card information. I will not hesitate to take it from her. So that last paragraph was written a couple hours ago. Since then, stuff went down. I have severe asthma, and I was on video chat with a friend when I started noticing symptoms of an asthma attack. For the last 2 weeks, I've had an issue with the entitled mother getting my refills on my inhalers, so I've been without meds for a little bit. When I got home yesterday, I asked her if she had an inhaler, and she said no. So I assumed asking her now wouldn't be a different story. I called 911 and they sent an ambulance. The ambulance checked me and they said only one lung sounds normal, so we did a breathing treatment. I sounded better, but the ambulance asked if I still wanted to go to the hospital. I said yes, because short term the treatment works, but long term I'll need an inhaler, something my mom said she didn't have. When they knocked on the door, she magically had an inhaler. Too late, I already was committed to the hospital because I could get an inhaler. So we went, and the entitled mother was complaining about how he's faking it and I have an inhaler, but knowing that she's suffering makes me feel happy inside. I talked to the doctors privately and asked some questions about my bulimia and possible seizures. They asked if I felt safe at home, and I obviously told them no. So there was a social worker that got involved, and the entitled mother talked to him in the hallways, and it seems like she made me out for something because he just kept saying he's done this for X amount of years. About an hour later, they gave me an inhaler. Then the social worker came back. He had cops with him, and they said I was under arrest. I asked why, and they said some nonsense reasons. The entitled mother looked at me and said consequences a few times. I complied because I didn't want to have any extra trouble. It turned out she said to make sure my dad didn't pick me up and lied to the cops telling them that she has sole custody. So when I tried to get my dad to get me out, he was denied. He went over to my entitled mother and forced her to come with me and get me out. Turns out, she made a false police report saying that I lunged at her with a knife and that I was trying to stab her, which is a very exaggerated version of the story. While I was in a jail cell for 6 hours, I was thinking of ways to get back at her. The abusive boyfriend and his kids aren't supposed to be living here, so I just emailed the entitled mother's landlord about the boyfriend and I'm currently awaiting a response. This story was written while it was taking place. I just got out of jail then. I just sent the email like 5 minutes ago. Stay tuned for more updates. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.